The controversy over voting in Florida. Lawmakers are back at the state capitol today, holding a special session to approve a new congressional map for the Sunshine State. Florida gained a congressional seat after the latest census, thanks to a population boom. But Republican Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed the latest GOP-backed map that preserved key minority districts to the dismay of Democrats and voting rights groups. The map DeSantis submitted would likely create more Republican seats and reduce black representation. Joining me now to discuss, ABC News political director Rick Klein. Rick, good to see you. The governor's proposal eliminates a black majority district in northern Florida that the governor viewed as, quote, racially gerrymandered and splits up black voters around the Orlando area. How big a deal is this?
Yeah, Kenneth, this is pretty dramatic because Florida, first of all, is gaining a congressional seat because of population growth there. But on balance, if you look at the maps, what happens under this proposal, they're actually going to lose 3 highly competitive seats, and the Republicans are likely to gain as many as 4 solidly red Republican seats in this process. Our partners at 538 have looked at this and see it as one of the most aggressive gerrymanders of the year. And it was the Republican legislature that came back with a much more muted version of this that preserved that majority-minority district up in northern Florida, as well as the one in the Orlando area that you referenced. DeSantis, though, vetoed that map, an extraordinary move, and congressional leaders there, or sorry, legislative leaders on the Republican side, said they would essentially outsource the rest of the job to DeSantis. They'd let him propose their map, and it's as close to a rubber stamp as you're going to get when it gets taken up in the legislature starting today.
But Rick, this is a once in a decade process here. Why are Republican leaders ceding their usual authority to pass the governor's map?
It really is a striking thing. Usually, if a state is gaining a seat, it doesn't have a reason to truly change the way that things are registered in terms of party lines. But we've seen Democrats across the country get more aggressive with their gerrymanders, including in New York, where right now the courts are considering whether the Democrats went too far. Republicans nationally felt like they wanted to strike back, and they felt like they've got more leeway than ever with what the courts are allowing them to do. And that's why Governor DeSantis, who is widely thought to be considering a presidential run, he's also up for re-election this year, decided to make a major case out of this and say, I don't like the fact that you've got these majority-minority districts. I don't like that there are gerrymanders that Democrats have there as a legacy. So I'm going to essentially do a gerrymander of my own. And as you can see in those side-by-side maps, you see some of those blue spots fade away into gray, and some of the gray turn to red. That means that those previously very competitive seats are going to become safely Republican, and Democrats are going to fight just to have the kind of representation that they've had. And it means almost certainly you're going to lose 1 or even 2 Black House Democratic members of Congress.
And as soon as you mention those political ambitions by Governor DeSantis, I was ready to jump on that one because he's been in the headlines, as you know, Rick, recently passing a controversial 15-week abortion ban, the so-called Don't Say Gay bill. He's been outspoken on teaching critical race theory and the participation of trans girls in school sports. So how is this latest issue different from the culture wars DeSantis has been engaging in?
Well, first of all, this one lasts for a whole decade. And if these districts go into place and they aren't overturned by the courts, then whoever wins the governor's race this year and whatever happens in Florida politics, these are the seats that you're going to be stuck with as a Floridian, as a voter for the next 10 years. This is not about just responding to the whims of a particular moment. And look, he has no doubt put a lot of points on the board when it comes to conservative governance. But what's striking about this example is that he's going further than legislative leaders in his own state wanted to go, were comfortable with going. The issue is going to be litigated, certainly, but for DeSantis to continue to rack up these big conservative victories, he's also teeing up new gun legislation this week. He's also taking aim at ABC's parent company, Disney, in terms of its tax status, as part of a payback of sorts for the way that other bills have been handled in Florida. All of it adds up to a governor that's doing everything he can to burnish his resume.
And with a lot of those issues, we've seen legal challenges. So people are asking, will there be legal challenges this time?
No doubt. This always happens when it comes to redistricting. But the one big difference between this system, or the legal system in place this time versus 10 years ago, is that the Supreme Court has taken away a lot of the teeth that the federal government had in the past around the Voting Rights Act, the ability to challenge the way that minority representation is reflected in a map, much less than it used to be. So this is going to work its way through the courts, no doubt. It also may be, though, that time runs out on any challenge, because we're now already into voting season in much of the country. Florida doesn't have its primaries until later in the summer, but you start to hit filing deadlines, and as you get closer, courts are less and less likely to intervene. All
right, Rick Klein, always breaking it down for us. We appreciate it, Rick. Good to see you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.